Hey guys, I'm back for another video, and today I'm talking about Hytale again. And this is episode 4 of the 10 ideas that I think should be in Hytale series. Oh boy, I did not imagine we would get this far. 4 episodes of a series for a game that's not even out yet, just suggesting content. Oh boy. And this is a good one, guys. All of them are, but this one has some pretty neat ones and a few far out ones. But if the devs put in the time, I think it would make for a really interesting concept. Well, anyway, let's get started. So, there's a video I uploaded recently that was called Hytale Will Change the World, and I made the case that it will be used as an educational tool, and it will teach people how to code, how to animate, how to make 3D models, how to do architecture, how to produce cinema, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. And I think there should be some features that are built into the game that allow for these educational environments. For example, maybe there'd be an in-game tutorial on how to make 3D models, and it would be like this whole step-by-step tutorial type thing, almost like how a lot of games have a tutorial on the game's mechanics when you just start out. And in this tutorial setting, there'd be like a universal character that becomes known as the tutorial character. For example, right, it's iconic that the multiplayer characters in Portal are those 2 robots. So what if there was like this steampunk brass, like robot type character that once you see it, you know you're in an educational environment. It's like, oh dang, we're about to learn some stuff about the game because the tutorial character is out again. And then, like, in each tutorial, it'll be like, okay, this is how you add an animation to a character, and then you get to, like, allow the brass character to, like, do whatever you want them to do. Like, it would teach you how to make a walk cycle, a run cycle. It would teach you how to do special animations that activate when you press a certain button. Maybe something like, reloading a weapon, or maybe if they had a fishing rod and they pull out the fishing rod and throw it in the lake or something like that. I think that would be really neat if there was a bunch of built-in stuff. But of course, this could be added through mods, so it's not the end of the world if it's not. But as we all know, something that's officially in the game would be taken a lot more seriously than a mod in terms of the stuck-up, old-timey people that run public schools nowadays. Anyway, on to the next suggestion. I think the Hytale YouTube channel should be extremely active. So, for anybody that's been a long-time fan of Hypixel and, you know, the server and all that, you would notice that their channel's pretty much dead. They released, like, a trailer a few times. They have a few videos up, but, like, as of recording this, I'm pretty sure there's, like, no videos that have come out in the past, like, few years even. So I think, I mean, it's a good start so far. The Hytale channel has quite a lot of content on it. It has soundtrack stuff, it has the launch trailer. I think it'd be really neat if they had trailers for their built-in servers, for maybe even the game modes. It'd be really neat if there was a Bed Wars trailer, if it's going to be called Bed Wars, but the Bed Wars equivalent on Hytale would be really neat. So yeah, I just think they should stay active on the YouTube channel, because I feel like it's a missed opportunity to have so many subscribers on a channel, for example, like Hypixel, and just not take advantage of it. I do think that since a lot of their community is on YouTube, because, you know, YouTuber rank, I think people would legitimately spend the time to watch content there, and they would get hyped, and they might be considering trying a game mode if a trailer came out on the official channel. So, just a thought. As someone that makes a lot of content on YouTube, I do see it as a missed opportunity to make some big project and not make a video about it. Now, here's where things get a little wonky, alright? So my third suggestion is that Hytale would have a system that, using AI, would automatically create music. Alright, so no shade whatsoever to Oscar. I love the, like, 2 official soundtracks and all the little tidbits of, like, ambient music. It's all great. Don't get me wrong. It is amazing. But how cool of a concept would it be that an AI would generate music as you're playing? How crazy would that be? So, like, people are thinking probably, dude, that's not even possible. I don't think so, man. I'm going to play it now. It's probably playing right now. There is music that was generated by an AI. And it is a thing. It's something that is out there in the world. It is probably extremely difficult to do, but it is a thing. So just imagine you're in a fight scene and it automatically like generates music that is like battle music for you. And you've never heard it before. And it's just like this brand new music track just generates as you're fighting. And depending on how intense, maybe the pace of the song would change. So maybe your health gets really low and then it just like transitions into a really, really fast-paced like escape kind of music. And you're getting chased by some mob. And it's almost like in a TV show how the music would change depending on the situation. Just imagine that happening live in the game. It would be really crazy difficult to do, but it is possible, and it'd be the first game to ever do it. And, you know, that could easily be something that would get them some brownie points from the press. It's like, oh, this new game, Hytale, is the first of its kind to use AI-created music in its... And I'm not saying to completely replace what Oscar's doing. I'm saying in addition to. So maybe what he's doing is a bunch of the story-type music, and then maybe... You know, it's not too far off, as I said. There's definitely going to be people designing parts of the map, and then once you go far enough out, the map starts to become randomly generated using procedural land generation or whatever. Is that concept really that foreign for music? What if it's post-game content, and you're just in a randomly generated dungeon with a randomly generated circumstance, and then what if the music was also randomly generated? So I think that would be really neat. Alright, let's go back down to Earth for a bit here, because that is definitely a really crazy idea. So I've talked about automation plenty of times on this channel, but I definitely want to see a system that allows for late game automation type content, so like farms and stuff. And it would be really neat if it used magic, so maybe machines would run on magic, or instead of machines, there would just be enchanted things that would run on magic that would effectively be machines, and you'd be able to store that mana or power, magical power, to run the machines. But one thing that's really important, I would say they should be very careful what they allow you to farm, because in Minecraft things can get a little dry once you've created a super duper efficient farm that just gives you like infinite of some material. For example, a witch farm, it gives you infinite sticks, infinite glowstone, infinite redstone, it gives you random potions, it gives you, there's, I think, spider eyes, and it's just like, you get a crazy amount of resources from this one farm, and then all of a sudden, an entire portion of the game is pointless. Like, if you combine a witch farm with a wither skeleton farm, with a villager trading station, if you combine it with, like, you know, all sorts of different automatic farms, you literally get to the point where you don't have to go mining anymore, except for lapis lazuli and diamonds. Like, that is literally it. Those are the only resources that you would really need to get underground. Which I guess is cool to be able to do that, but I think that really hurts the game if that's the only thing that you really would have to get underground after you've made a bazillion farms. So I would just be careful about what they allow you to get, and maybe not have an infinite way to gain resources. Maybe you'd have to pick up your station and move it somewhere. So maybe you made a quarry and you ran out of stuff to, you know, to dig up, so you had to move elsewhere. Who knows? I do think the best way to perform automation type actions though would be through something like a quarry, something that's complicated, but it's like, it's a multi-block structure. It's not just like you craft a thing and it just generates stuff for you, because that's boring. But I think the idea of a quarry is really cool, because you get to see it, and you, like, the ground gets, you know, dug up, and it's just like, in real time, you get to watch all this happen, and you can just leave it, and I don't know, it's cool. I know there's going to be a lot of crafting in this game, probably, so I think instead of having something boring like a crafting table, that you be able to make stuff using using more complicated means. For example, Tinker's Construct allows you to build a smeltery and then melt metals inside the smeltery, and then once the metals are melted, you can create a cast and then pour out molten metal into the cast and then create your own tools. Something like that would be really cool. Having a specific process for everything would be really neat. So for example, pouring molten metal, shaping a sword on an anvil would be pretty neat, tanning hide to make armor, things like that. So we've seen a lot so far with the cinema tools and being able to watch YouTube videos through the movie theater feature in Hytale. I think that's really neat. And apparently all the views count as real views. There was a tweet about it too, where it was like, if 50 people are in a room watching a video, then that's 50 views on the video, which is freaking neat. But to take it a step further, what if you can use that feature to watch live streams? I can imagine right now me running a server network and premiering the trailer for a game mode, and a bunch of players, like let's say 10,000 players are online. They all go in the cinema and they watch the premiere live stream. And there's 10,000 viewers at once watching it. Like, holy crap. That would be insane amounts of hype. And then adding on to that, maybe it'd be cool if you could add like a bot on YouTube that would transfer. It would basically sync the chat between YouTube on the live stream and in-game in Hytale. So maybe if someone says something in Hytale, it'd pop up in the YouTube chat. If someone said something in the YouTube chat, it would pop up in Hytale. That would be really cool. But it'd also be pretty complicated. So I don't know how that would really work. Having extra armor slots or baubles would be really neat, and it would help a lot with the idea of a gear-based progression system. As I've said multiple times, Hytale aims to use gear as its way of progressing through the game instead of giving yourself inherent character traits. So I think baubles and rings, necklaces, bracelets, charms, amulets would be really cool, and they'd have their own little slot. So it'd be like, oh, I found a ring of disappearing, and if I'm wearing it, then I become invisible, but it's got some really bad effect on it because that's pretty OP. So maybe it'd be like from Lord of the Rings, where you just become obsessed and turn into a Smeagol. I don't know. Or there'd be a ring of speed, but more creative stuff would be nice instead of just being given a buff that doesn't really do much for you. It's like, oh, 10% more health. Like, it's nice, but it's boring. So I don't know. Baubles that have special effects would be pretty cool. Maybe there'd be a ring that once you, if you punch with it, then there's a chance, like a 30% chance that it will be a super powerful, like wind, like elemental punch, and it just blows back your enemy and they go flying. Something like that would be really neat. One of my favorite little mods that I've seen in packs is Pam's Harvest Craft. It's a mod that allows you to make several hundred different food items by combining all sorts of different things. You'd be able to make like hard-boiled eggs, you'd be able to make deviled eggs, you'd be able to make like a fruit salad, rainbow bacon or something like that. You'd be able to make soy milk. I would imagine there's several hundred different food items in Pam's Harvest Craft, and I think it'd be really neat if Hytale had a sort of thing where, let's say there are 300-400 different types of food, and they would have different benefits. So of course we want to prevent a system where someone's like, oh, this is definitely the best food item, I'm just going to craft a bajillion of this and never touch food again. Like, that's not the point. I think it'd be cool if each food had its own benefits. So if you drank coffee, it would give you speed. But instead of in Minecraft you only get speed for like 30 seconds, I think if it gave you speed for like an hour of in-game, that would be really neat. Or maybe not an hour, maybe like 10 minutes, which would be an hour in game time. Or something, a long duration of time that makes it worth it for a player to actually go out and make coffee. You know what I mean? So something like that would be really neat. Maybe you'd have like a really, really sugary, like ice cream or something, and it makes you have movement speed as well. Something like that would be really funny. But I think it'd be really neat if food was, again, another way to use gear to up your stats. I remember in Fallout New Vegas, I used to go nuts with chems, so I would be able to set up like an ultimate fighting setup. I would have steady on me, which basically steadies your aim so that you get like pinpoint accuracy from freaking like a mile away. You would have that, you would have a Nuka-Cola Quantum at the ready, and then you just run into Quarry Junction and just wreck everything, because you've got like regenerating health and an up damage tolerance and like all this craziness. So stuff like that would be really neat too. And it would also give the devs something to put as like loot in dungeons, because I know for one thing it could be difficult to make loot that's worth it for everybody, but for one thing, food items are always something that you can take advantage of as a player. Even if it's crappy, it's like, well, I have like a hunger bar missing, I might as well give it a shot, you know? I might as well eat this thing I found because it gives me a little bit of hunger. So people will always use food, so it's a good thing to have as like a loot item. Another idea I had is strategic combos when fighting. Doing certain actions in succession will perform a special attack that does more damage. So it'd be kind of like in the old Spider-Man games, where you'd be able to press like A, B, and then like left trigger, right trigger, and then all of a sudden like he does this crazy slam attack, and it's like, whoa, I discovered like a crazy thing. Old-timey game stuff. It'd be pretty neat if there was some way, like maybe each weapon has multiple attacks, so if you were to press, if you were to left click with a sword, then it would just do a standard swing. Maybe if you were holding shift and you click, then you would do a stab. Or something, I don't know. There'd be different ways to do different attacks. And then if you do different attacks in succession, then it might do some third attack that's like really crazy. And on top of that, I think it'd be really neat if you could combine the functionality of multiple things in your inventory at once. So what if you had like a fire staff in one hand and a sword in the other? What if you could use the fire staff to heat up the sword and then attack somebody with the sword that's now heated up? And then you could additionally, when they start to run away, you shoot at them with the fire staff. So you'd have like a ranged weapon. So you'd be dual wielding, of course. And for the final suggestion, this goes with the food thing. I think it'd be good if there were items that were meant to compact your inventory, such as the lunchbox. I know it's already confirmed that there's a quiver and a backpack, so that's a great start, but I think it'd be good to have specific items, like for example the lunchbox, which you could use to just eat whatever you have inside randomly, or store a bunch of food at the same time. So something like that would be really good. It'd be convenient because, again, it would promote having multiple kinds of food on you, and I might even go as far to say it'd be a good idea to implement what Blightfall did and Forever Stranded. And what those packs did is they had a mod that made it so as you ate food, your player would get sick of it. So you can't just eat the same food item 100 times in a row, and you would have to mix things up a bit. If you do that, then it will promote eating all these different kinds of foods, and I think that might be a really interesting game mechanic. There might be certain foods that you can eat as much of it as you want and not bother, you know, wouldn't be a problem, but I think something like that, now that I think about it, it's not even in like the ideas list, but just thinking of it as I'm recording this, that would be freaking neat. Maybe it'd be a difficulty thing. So maybe if you go on the highest difficulty, your character would only eat the same food like maybe 3 or 4 times in a row before they need to have something else. And then every 50 to 100 items, it would reset. So like you'd have 2 pork chops, then you'd have 2 fruit salads, then you'd have an orange, then you'd have an egg, and then you just keep on going and going and going, having different things, and then once you eat 100 food items, you can have pork chops again without any penalty. So like the more you eat, the less benefits it gives you, which I guess you can make the argument makes sense too from a vitamin standpoint. So maybe if you eat the same thing over and over, like if you ate pizza your whole life, you're gonna be pretty malnourished because you're not having a very balanced diet. So I don't know, that's a bonus one, I guess. That's idea number 11 for this video. That'd be freaking neat. Well, anyway, leave a like down below if you enjoyed all these ideas, and if you would like to join the Hytale discussion, you should follow my Twitter. I usually promote the Discord at this point, but I feel like a lot of you are there. So if you would like to see me interacting with the staff actually from time to time and just talking about life stuff, posting memes, then you should follow me at twitter.com/ThirtyVirus, and it is also in the description down below and the pinned comment. Well, anyway, that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.